Welcome back to the Entrepreneur's Blueprint. Today, I have a guest who I've had the pleasure of working with for a long time now. It is Garrett Perkins from Givingtons. Garrett has over 10 years of experience in the publishing and e-commerce industries. Garrett is a seasoned business development expert and a strategic communicator who is passionate about driving growth and excellence across multiple revenue channels. As the Chief Revenue Officer at Givingtons, he oversees the current revenue growth strategy across three main revenue streams and develops additional revenue platforms for the company. Serving on the leadership team at Givingtons, he is responsible for the stability and growth of a $20 million enterprise that's goal is to be the premier partner and agency for the future of publishing content and its collision with e-commerce. His proudest accomplishments have nothing to do with business and everything to do with marrying his best friend, Emmy Jo, and being entrusted as the father of 4 unbelievable kids.
They are. You nailed it. And man, talk about the amount of buzzwords in that LinkedIn. Bzz, 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 bzz. So that is me. And if you heard that and go, well, what the hell does he do? That's a great question. And but all you need to know about me is that I married Emmy Jo Perkins and I got 4 amazing kids. And Courtney Cook is one of my favorite people to work with. So glad to be here, Courtney.
Well, thanks, Garrett. It's been a long time coming. We've talked about this for a while, and so we're finally doing it. And so you'll be like the opening guest on season 2. So
Yes,
that's kind of an important role, just so you know.
Big deal. That'll be not my next bio. Will have that underneath it as the next accomplishment. Season 2 guests on Courtney Cook's podcast.
Yes. Walk us through, what does Givingtons do? What do you guys actually do? And then what do you do when a content brand comes to you? Like, what problem are they trying to solve?
Yeah, great question. And that's the beauty of distilling entrepreneurship down to that question, right? Like, what is the problem that you're solving? And if you can't answer that pretty clearly, then you might have a problem in itself. So, Givingtons has been around for 12 years now, and it's been a journey of us figuring out how to answer that question. But 12 years in, I think, we've figured it out, which, who knows if there'll be a second iteration or maybe 5th iteration, depending on who you're asking. But we would say Givington exists to help content brands create and move products directly to who matter most. So, there's a lot in that sentence. We help content brands. What's a content brand? We help them create and move products. How do we help them create it? How do we help them move it? And then we help them create and move it directly to who matters most. That word directly is extremely important in our world. So really what we would say is Givingtons exists to help direct consumer content brands or people that have a direct relationship with their customer or audience. We help them maximize that experience through creating products and getting those products to those customers from concept to customer through a variety of services. So that's what we do. We do it through really 3 main verticals. Through 3 main revenue channels that have kind of grown over time from the growing need. The first problem that we solved was we were trying to solve a problem 12 years ago where we were wanting to work with nonprofits. The name of Givingtons comes from that idea of really wanting to help nonprofits generate non-donor generated revenue. That's what we called it. Anybody in the nonprofit business? I was in the nonprofit business for years. Fundraising is one of the number one issues and important factors. And the reality is most nonprofits live off of big checks from like 3% of their donor base. And it's just not sustainable. So we wanted to create e-commerce platforms for nonprofits to sell things to their audience to help generate revenue so they don't have to go raise money. That idea of, Paul, made tents and to help support his ministry on that side. That was kind of that idea originally. We learned really quickly that nonprofits didn't have the budgets to actually try and swing for that. And also, it's just easier to go call your millionaire donor and say, hey, I need another $200,000. It's a write-off for you, and our ministry keeps running. So that was a problem that wasn't needed to be solved, at least by us. But we did have one unbelievable nonprofit ministry entity, Proverbs 31 Ministries, Lisa Turkhurst, where they were already doing this really well. They were already selling product that they created directly to their audience and raising money by just generating value through devotionals and products. Yeah. And the problem they had was they were shipping all that product out of their storage room. 10 years ago, they called us and they said, hey, we really don't need you to do any of this stuff, but we'd love for you to just do this. Would you be willing to do this? And as maybe serial entrepreneurs, but also more honestly, maybe just desperate people that needed to make money somehow to feed our families, we said, yeah, we can totally do that. And enter our first revenue vertical of direct-to-consumer fulfillment. So that's where it all began.
Got it. You mentioned then previously taking the company from a struggling startup to a profitable B2B operation by launching these new revenue verticals. What were those verticals? Kind of in what stage did they happen? And was there one that surprised you the most in terms of its impact?
Great question. This has been like honestly the most enjoyable part about one, being an entrepreneur and being entrusted to build a business that we're proud of. Our lead founder and owner, primary owner, Tom Addington, always, anytime we ask him questions about, hey, what if we tried this? What if we did this? His response is always just, hey, build something you're proud of. And it's been fun to learn
Mm,
um, on what that means for us. And I think where our true north has always been that we want to build a sustainable and lasting business. We want to have sustainable growth, never at the risk of profitability. So what we did is we built a profitable engine on this, boutique fulfillment company that we had about 20 clients that we served really, really well. They knew us, they liked us, they trust us, and we solved a problem for them. They didn't have to pack stuff in their garage, and they were nonprofits, and then they were e-commerce brands, and they were from anywhere between $500,000 in revenue to $5 million in revenue. So small boutique-ish e-commerce brands or medium sized maybe. And then we were watching all this product arrive on our docks, and we were listening to our clients complain about the process of being able to get these products created. That made us realize this is a need. These clients want to make really great product that's affordable so that they can resell, generate margin, and provide value. And the reality is the bound printed material and content world and books and stationery and card decks and devotionals and self-help guides and bullet journals, it's a massive industry, but it's also extremely focused in these massive printing presses with people that have only worked in the printing world for 30, 40, 50 years, and they don't speak the e-commerce world. They're not
mhm.
thinking about this from a product or thinking, hey, send me your spec sheet. And you have a founder going, what's a spec sheet? I want to make this really pretty book
Yeah.
for my mommies that I sell
Yeah.
products to.
Mhm.
And the 45-year-old or 50-year-old salesman at X printing press does not know how to speak that language. So we learned really quickly, man, there's a service here that we could provide of being able to speak both languages and also be able to leverage our buying power if we get enough people to let us and trust us to actually be their product development partner. So that was vertical number two. We just worked up that supply chain. Who are we serving?
Mhm.
What other things are they doing that we would like to do and think we could do it better than other people? And we just started working up, and not better than everybody, just better than the people that our clients were using is really where we
Yeah.
started. So that entered our product development business, where we just started talking to our current clients. So now we did not have to hire salespeople. We didn't have to run marketing campaigns. We simply just worked our relationships to say, hey, how can we help you more? What if we tried to do that? And we started with people that trusted us the most and said, hey, could we try it once? And we won't charge you anything for it. Let us learn it. So we got to learn an industry, helping our clients and building a business model in the process. And that was number two. Product development was number two, moving up that line. Every e-commerce business needs product. We now can help you make products. So now we have a thriving product development business that serves probably 100 plus projects a year across,
Crazy.
40 to 50 clients, which is really fun, creating hundreds of thousands of units a year all across the world. But it didn't stop there. 5 years ago, we looked up and we said, okay, all these clients are making product. We are fulfilling all their orders as well. But the reality is now we're reliant on these e-commerce brands or these content creators to do a really good job marketing their product. And that's the only way we make money. The only way we're
Mhm.
making money is relying on somebody else to do a good job, which is a really scary place to be in for business. And we also wanted to continue to diversify so that we weren't reliant on one vertical. So we just really looked up the stream again and said, well, what if we help people market their product? The more we learned about marketing when it comes to creative and performance marketing versus storytelling marketing and strategy and research based marketing and customer surveys and all the above, we realized, man, this is a massive ordeal. And instead of us just bootstrapping it the way Garrett and Alan would want to bootstrap it, we were like, we're going to screw this up big time if we just say we do this and figure it out as we go. So instead, we actually, through just a lot of provision from the Lord and relationships, we had a creative agency that was looking to actually sell the business to like-minded people, and so entered a
Mm.
company called Polymath 6 years ago. I think 6 years ago is when it happened, where their founder was taking another job at actually Christianity Today. Timothy Dalrymple, who's a friend of Givingtons,
Oh, crazy.
ended up becoming the CEO of Christianity Today, and he was the founder of Polymath. And the Christianity Today board was like, hey, you can't really have two jobs. You either need to shut this
Mm.
down or sell it so you can come run CT. And just so happens that Tom Addington, the primary owner of Givingtons, is on the board of Christianity Today, which just created really cool synergy and relationship where Tom called Garrett and Alan, said, hey, This guy's selling his creative business. Do you guys want to see if we can acquire a creative business? And of course, Garrett, the gas pedal's like, yeah, do it now. Ready, go. And luckily, Tom, again, trusts us a ton. He's an unbelievable leader. And long story short, ended up acquiring Polymath, and they have been our full service creative agency for 5 years now, just marrying really a full service from a concept of what if you had an idea, whether it be a physical or digital product, whether it be a
Mm-hmm.
website, whether it be an e-course, whether it be an animated video, whether it be a book trailer, whatever it is, we can create it. You can just talk at us and we now can make it, giving these content creators that are really good at content, just do that. Let
Yeah.
us do the rest. And now we can really slowly but surely start managing the entire ecosystem of content creators world, from concept of coming up with the idea to creation to creating the literal thing that they're going to sell or give away or raise money with, and then deliver or customer actually pick, pack, and ship it. Yes, literally pick, pack, and ship it. On the other side of my little jail cell right here is our new 65,000 square foot facility that we ship 1.2 million parcel packages a year, and probably 80 to 90% of them is either bound printed material or a paper product. So that's been the process of over, and again, that was over the course of 12 years and a lot of trial and error, a lot of years of, are we going to make it? And what I love is we still feel that way. We're a healthy, profitable, cash flowing business, but we still have that grittiness of, hey, let's do this in a sustainable way. Let's not take big swings. We're not a let's build it and they will come kind of people.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you balance what it looks like for what are you charging for? So you mentioned previously, like, we want to get this experience right for creating products for you. So you're doing that for free, but there's also a balance between giving away your expertise versus charging for it. So where are you currently giving it away? And then where are you charging it for it today?
Yeah, Courtney, it's like you're sitting in the conversations with Alan and I daily. Really, and and for all of Courtney's good fan base, Courtney is a dear friend of Givingtons, and Givingtons is also a customer of Courtney. We have hired Courtney to actually manage some of our e-commerce brands that we actually own as well. So I'm not just this random person. We literally pay Courtney. She's that good at what she does, but she also knows it's a little exposing. She knows me a little too well, and she knows how chaotic I am sometimes. So Alan and I are terrible at that. What you're saying and what you're describing, and we have been told this many a times. We have always viewed our expertise as the thing we give away to be able to earn the right to
Mm.
provide the value. Over the course of the last really 2 years, we've been considering, is there an iteration of Givingtons that is consulting, strategy, helping, even getting farther up that funnel, right? And to be really vulnerable, I'm just bad at it. I'm
Yeah.
bad at it. I immediately feel like I'm trying to get to the physical good or the
Yeah.
digital good that I can help you make, and not the thought leadership. How do I help build that strategy? So our creative agency Polymath does an unbelievable job at that with a lot of think
Hmm.
tanks, nonprofits, higher education companies. But that is something that Al and I are, I would say we're just not good at. There is definitely a balance. We have always leaned heavily on the side of, that's actually what gets us in rooms we don't belong in, because we spend a lot of time on phone calls and on Zoom calls and Google Meets giving away ideas for the sake of the hope and maybe the prayer sometimes of they'll call us back. And I think there's probably tons of school of thought out there on that. I think we probably tend to lean more heavily in, the more you give, the more you'll receive. Thankfully to our owner group, and our leadership team does not feel this burden of having to chase for the sake of a number. It
Yep.
gives us this comfort, like, hey, let's just provide value in a really cool way. So I didn't answer
Yeah.
that question, meaning I don't know. You should ask someone
I don't
that
know.
is probably better at it. But
No,
it's
it's
hard,
fair.
right?
It is hard. I understand the same thing. Like, I get on calls and it's like, let's talk about your Black Friday promotions because I think what you have planned is like not good enough. So let's get into it, you
And
know?
you have three ideas that you're like, man, if you just do this, it's literally decrease your card payment by like 20%. But if I tell you that now, you'll just do it. And so
Yep.
I know. And honestly,
Yep.
and now that I say this, I actually do have well, shocker, I have an opinion on this. I just think at the end of the day, even when you give the idea, most people don't even know how to execute it. And that's not a
Yeah,
knock. It's
it's
just they're
true.
doing other things that they need to
Hmm.
focus their time on. And what I think we are good at is the things that we give still need an executor. And
Yeah.
that's what we've loved about our business model is that so much of what we do is simply just the executors. And there's extreme value in being an executor that happens to
Hmm.
understand a lot of the theory and ethereal side. We're like, hey, we can speak this language, but really at the end of the day, we're just the nuts and bolts people that can just talk enough in this world where it earns us the right to do that. I think, yeah, I like trading that way instead of the other, but it's hard.
Yeah, it is hard. So, from an execution standpoint, I am sure just as you're looking at Q4 timelines, what are the businesses that you support? What are their promotions? What are they running? When do they need their product sourced? Uh, you have your product development team, and they have probably buckets of time that they have planned out for when these customers need their products to be sourced. So, from a labor planning perspective, like how are you connecting all those dots and help us understand why is this really high stakes? Because
Yeah.
if something breaks here, like I'm sure there is a ripple effect for you and your customers.
Yeah. Well, for us, for our customers, and then our customers' customers is really the
Yeah.
end piece here. We're talking about
Hmm.
end consumers that spent $40 to $60 on a product and expect it in 3 to 5 business days.
Yeah.
And depending on the promises or whatever, there is high stakes because you in the digital arena, all it takes is really messing up once, and
Hmm.
unless you have a really strong thought leadership, loyal community, not just to your product but to your brand and all the above, they're just going to go somewhere else. There's so much noise and so many people talking to your customer that yes, you own, but that email box is full of a lot of people
Yeah.
that own that customers. And yeah, it is high stakes. Product development, I think timelines and forecasting and planning. And we'd put it in really probably 3 buckets. The financial model,
Hmm.
meaning margin controls and making sure that your pricing strategy is really, really smart and thinking through not just what the cost of goods is. This is what I charge. There's shipping costs in there. There's tariffs cost in there, pending on the product, if it's above the de minimis value, pending on what country you source it in. There is shelf life of products. There is products that are seasonal by nature. There's a lot of stuff that comes into play. And then there's other pieces of the pie that get taken out of that margin that you got to be thinking through so you price it right. There's also just customer research on what is a fair price for a 6-month planner or a
Yeah.
12-month planner, right? What is a fair price and what's a price that is based off of what materials match this price that is like that? So one, you start there on that concepting side, and then you move down to forecasting. Well, then how many do I print? How much should we source? There's factors that come into play there, right? Well, where am I sourcing it? How long does it take to get from that place? What's the material lead time? Because it's not just the printing, it's the mills of the
Yeah.
paper. What's the material
Yep.
lead time of that? And then it's the boat timeline if you're printing it overseas of how long it's going
Hmm.
to take to get off the boat and how long does it sit at port? What port should it go to at what time of year? All these things are things that we've learned through a lot of trial and error of what works and doesn't work. And now we've freed up our customer to not have to think about that. Our client, our direct consumer content brand can go, I want to make X. And we say, hey, we like to say 6 to 8 months in advance, we're going to plan for the next 6 to 8 months. We love
Yep.
calendar year. We love working in a calendar year. Let's build the product catalog for the year, but also give space for, there's also products that you want to make quickly that you go, wow, I see a need here. I can solve this problem. Let's test it. And that's where you need to have a product development partner that can still do that with in-state printing. And we
Yeah.
actually pride ourselves a ton off of being able to create products in the States at
Mm.
at an affordable rate for in the States printing. So there's
Yeah.
product strategy, there's pricing strategy, there's material strategy, there's timelines on that side. And then there gets into that idea of like, okay, you got to also be thinking about what's this product going to arrive like? Is it going to fit in a box? What type of box? What type of shipping method am I going to use so it doesn't get damaged? What
Yep.
type of tape is my fulfillment company using? And this is where us being a fulfillment provider, it makes us a really, really valuable product development partner. Is
Yeah.
because when we're creating products, we're thinking about what box is this going in?
Hmm.
Because also selfishly, if we're the ones shipping it, we want to make it as affordable as possible, as easy as possible to pick and pack, that fits on our shelves well. So it gives us the opportunity to really partner with our clients going, hey, this makes most sense for us that we can get your orders out the door lightning fast.
Yep.
And it works for your customer and it works for your financial P&L as well. So this is when that flywheel really starts working for our content brands and also for our internal processes as well. So
Right.
that's
Right.
kind of that. If on the product development side, that's how I work back. And the stakes are high. And Courtney, I mean, you've worked for brands because we've been in those situations together where you're calling
Yeah.
us as the fulfillment provider going, this is delayed and we have a launch and the launch is around a holiday, not
Yeah.
just, and again, not just Christmas, there's Easter, there's New Year, there's Mother's Day, there's stuff that, 37-year-old Garrett buys my mom flowers for Mother's Day and it arrives 4 days after Mother's Day.
Not a good look,
Not a
Garrett.
good, not a good look on 1-800-Flowers or me
Yeah.
for my mom. So
Yeah. Yep.
it is high stakes because in the direct consumer world, there's nothing more important than customer satisfaction, direct to consumer customer
Yeah.
satisfaction.
But how are you guys also? I mean, your Black Friday, Cyber Monday was bananas. And the way I'm like looking at the orders to say like, okay, I know how to call you guys out to see how behind you are.
hmm
And either
Which
either
is
you were
miserable that you
padding
know
it.
how. I don't like that you know how, but you do know how because you
I'm
have
like,
before.
this is insane. You guys were so fast. Like, how are you getting it done? It's crazy. And you had to move this year.
Yeah, the move. I don't even want to get into that. That was that was a whole nother conversation. Don't build a new building, anybody, if you're in the fulfillment business. Don't get into the fulfillment business. That's why we've gotten into other things. But you know what, Courtney, I truly, there are two reasons why this holiday, and one, I appreciate you saying it. It was the best Black Friday, Cyber Monday we've ever had. Fulfillment companies and the e-commerce world is notorious for being delayed during the holiday season.
Yeah.
To be fair to the fulfillment world, a lot of it's because of carriers and they just get
Mm-hmm.
overrun with packages. Totally
Yeah.
understandable. And the fulfillment providers get overrun with packages. And
Mm-hmm.
it's called surge for a reason or peak for a reason. And we pride ourselves off of not being delayed even during peak. And it still happens from time to time and has happened in the past. And this year, we had 0 orders delayed across the entire holiday. And it's really for two reasons. One,
It's insane.
genuinely just planning on our operations team. Our COO, Zach Morgan, he is a nerd. He's a nerd.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the greatest nerd in the world. He's one of my best friends, so I can say that. I've never seen someone that does such a good job of thinking through every random detail that could help add 4 minutes or subtract 4 minutes
Yeah.
from our picking timelines and forecasting. That's number one. Our ops team just did an unbelievable job this year.
Mm-hmm.
We also threw a lot of bodies at it this year. We had a bigger space. The reason why we've been delayed in the past is we could not put more bodies to
Mm-hmm.
run the flywheel faster, right? It's just reality of this. There was limited space. Now with 5
Yeah.
times the space, we can bring in literally 5 times the labor to be able to get out 5 times the orders in theory. At least that was the bet that we made. And it's been cool to slowly but surely test that. So number one is our operations team, which is clipping on all cylinders. And honestly, number two is our clients. Our clients forecasted better than they ever have. That
Nice.
helped a ton, where a lot of times it's either they undershoot it or they overshoot it. So the wrong products we bring down to a hot location that wasn't needed. And so our clients did a great job of forecasting. And then honestly, maybe an asterisk that the 2.5 would be, we are a boutique fulfillment company. We have decided to not serve everybody. We don't have
Right.
400 clients and 4 million SKUs in our warehouse. We have 42 clients and 400,000 SKUs in our warehouse,
Yeah.
which still is a
Mm-hmm.
lot, but that gives us the ability to make promises that nobody else actually delivers on. Every fulfillment company gets delayed in holiday. It's just reality. And we want to pride ourselves on saying, no, we are actually one of the only ones that do what we say. And when we don't, we'll make it right. And we can only do that if we don't serve everybody. We've kind of
Right.
focused into that space of content fulfillment.
Yeah, and you guys put a lot of pride into your culture, and I see that all the time and the way we work together that it is something that's really important to you guys. So across your team, you have the operations side with the warehouse staff, creative folks, and account managers. How do you actually build culture across all those very different functions?
Yeah. I think one is key leaders in those functions that are first and not foremost, but that they are actually gifted in those functions, that they are experts or have the ability to become experts in those functions. We have,
Hmm.
I mean, our leadership team is a wonderful tapestry of different personalities that have different gifts. There's four of us on our leadership team, and we are four very, very different individuals. I am as far to the gas pedal side of anybody on our team, and
It's
then on
true.
the other
Yes.
side of the spectrum is a guy named Joel Addington, who's been here from the beginning, and he's our brake pedal. And what's great is that he and I agree more than anybody else in the company. So it's this fun little like gas pedal and brake when they're in agreement. Alan jokes like, man, when Joel and Garrett are in agreement, I'm screwed because I can't. So I think that helps a lot. And so one, first and foremost, experts in those areas. And then two, it's people that care deeply about each other in the
Yeah.
process. Ops and business development or operations and client experience, a lot of times can, in a larger enterprise, it's kind of like sales and marketing. They just clash.
Hmm.
Marketing blames sales for everything. Sales blames marketing for everything in the tech world. And in the fulfillment world, client experience blames ops. Ops blames clients. That's just
Yep.
not the culture of our team. The person that I work most closely with in the entire company is our COO, Zach. I mean, we're back to back
Hmm.
to each other.
Yeah.
And the guy that usually says, yeah, let's try it more than anybody else in the company is Zach Morgan, our COO, who normally the operations person is like, no, 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 don't bring in that chaos. Like we have this
Yeah.
nice little
Exactly.
bucket where it's the dev people pushing, let's try it, let's grow. And that's just, so there's just a really, really healthy culture starting at the leadership level. And a lot of that is just based off the reality of Alan and I have known each other longer than we've known our spouses, which makes it really special. He's
Hmm.
known me since I was 18 years old. So,
Crazy.
which is terrifying. And then that top trickles down, to a
Hmm.
lot of other healthy things. We have our internal business statement is that we steward the opportunities that God brings to build life-changing relationships and an innovative and lasting business. And for the first 5 years of our business, we did a really good job of building relationships, life-changing, long-lasting relationships. And we did do a good job of stewarding opportunities that God brings. We're not building an innovative and lasting business. We were bleeding money. We were struggling like crazy, but we were doing great work with people.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
felt really good. The warm and fuzzy is real high at Givingtons.
Hmm.
We were looking at the P&L and we weren't being good stewards of that side of the business. And we've learned that, man, if we don't do that, we can't do the relationships. So that flipped 3 years ago where we finally said, hey, we have to start taking this seriously from a stewardship standpoint on the financial side and on the business side of being actually excellent. And that helped kind of bridge those two together. And it affected culture in a really cool way where people now expect excellence.
Hmm.
And they demand it from themselves and everybody else, but also they know there's a really healthy culture of we expect excellence, we expect urgency, we want a good pace, but we also there's a ton of grace here. If you're in the family, you have high trust, low management because it can be that way.
Yeah.
But if we have to manage a little higher, that's all right as well, and we do a pretty good job at doing that. So
Cool. So, how does your faith shape the way that you approach business from a leadership aspect,
yeah,
especially when you're wrestling with questions like, what do we charge? How are we going
yeah.
to grow this part? How do
Mhm.
we build a really solid culture?
Yeah. Well, man, the faith side for us is extremely important, but also when you're building a for-profit business and that word for profit is the whole point is for it to generate income, can a lot of times feel at odds with the kingdom of God if you look at it at a shallow level. I came from ministry. I thought I was going to be a church planter. That was the plan, coming out of college, and I'm
Crazy.
doing nothing like that anymore. But I am also I'm around more non-Christians and more non-believers than I've ever been in my life. I'm in rooms that are honestly hostile to the gospel. So for me personally, that's been a really wonderful treat for me to learn how to navigate in a culture that is post-Christian, in a world that it's very, very, very much a culture that is hostile to the things that I hold dear. It has been a really, really fun exploration for me personally, learning, wow, there are gifts that I have that actually fit really well with someone that is hostile to the gospel that I always thought would not be the case for my personality or my wiring. So that's been just really enjoyable to see that side of it. And then we've been pretty outspoken about who we are. We don't hide it, but we also, we always give the example of being, we want to be the Chick-fil-A of the content world.
Yeah.
We will
Yeah.
serve a chicken sandwich to whoever. Like, I don't
Hmm.
care what you believe, who you are, what you look like, what you smell like, what you talk like. We'll serve you. We'll serve you what we serve you.
Yeah.
Um, It does get a little tricky in the words world because we're working with people that have ideas.
Yeah.
There's a lot of content and a lot of clients that we work with that their belief system is at odds with my belief system. But I believe that's the beauty of what I get to do as well, is I get to kind of stand in the gap and we get to represent Jesus and the gospel in a culture that thinks Christians hate everybody that isn't a Christian. So that's been
Right.
really fun for us to pleasantly surprise people with this winsome, like, hey, like I like you. I actually enjoy you. Yeah, I think what you believe is wrong, but I
Right.
still like you.
Right. Right.
Let's go eat lunch.
Now let's go eat. Do you have advice for anyone who really struggles with that tension or just being in that environment and feeling comfortable? Even if they aren't talking about the gospel, just
Yeah.
like being able to still walk into that with confidence.
Yeah. Well, that my first answer made it sound like I have it like, man, I crush it. I will say, my wife would tell you about twice a year I have a midlife crisis every year, which doesn't make sense. I'm like, none of this matters. Let's
Yeah.
let's get on a boat. Let's go overseas. None of this matters. None of this matters. Let's
Hmm.
go. What am I teaching my kids that is most important in life? So I definitely wrestle with that too, pretty consistently. I come back to the what the word of God says about what the will of God is. And you won't find much in the Bible about the will of God being specific to a location or a job title or an industry or
Yeah.
other things like that. But there are certain things that he's very specific on about the will of God. But most of it, anytime it talks about what is God's will for your life, it's usually connected to faithfulness to Jesus,
Hmm.
or intimacy with Jesus. So that can be and should be able to be done in the most hostile of environments, because if
Yeah.
not, who will? So I would say, one, courage. Two, also just patience. I think the older I get, the more I've gotten comfortable with nuance. That doesn't mean I'm comfortable with subjectivity. I'm very much, there is an objective truth, but
Hmm.
within the foundation of objective truth, there's a lot of nuance with people that
Yeah.
I've learned to be more comfortable sitting in, um, to let God do the work, and I just get to be a representative of what that looks like. So, but again, I would not say I'm great at it. I am learning, but I've learned that I really enjoy that rub and tension of the kingdom of God coming to earth as it is in heaven. Of course, it would feel like that. I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, such great insights, Garrett. Thank you so much for spending your afternoon with me. I appreciate it. It's been a joy to kind of hear this side of things because it's not what we talk about every day.
No,
So
no.
thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Courtney, I tell you this all the time. I told you this years ago when you worked for another company. And I told you all the time, I was like, I had to figure out how to hire you. I had to figure out how to hire you. And then you went and started your own business. You're like, hire me? Forget that. You're going to hire me, or I'm going to hire you, like, which is what exactly happened. So you have an unbelievable gift for seeing through chaos and finding clarity in a way that is rare, especially with individuals that desperately need it because they're so good at this one thing. You work so well with founders and creators that are really good at that one thing, and what they need is clarity on all the other stuff, and they need to be freed up to not do that. So I'm so impressed with how you've done that for us with some of our e-commerce brands that we've hired you to literally run a one-woman show that's running $1 million business of ours, by the way. Courtney, there's nobody else. Literally, we
You're
hired
so
Courtney
kind.
and she does it all. But you've done it with such mellow, consistent, like you're genuine, your tone, your ability to say clear, candid things with just you just got a gift, and that's clear. That's why
Thanks.
I'm
I
on. It's
appreciate
working
it.
really well, and you are fun. That's
Well,
what
you
we
guys are
want.
too. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
but
guys are too. I appreciate it. And you make so much of the back half happen that is just a breath of fresh air because I don't
mhm.
have to worry about is the fulfillment team going to get this out? I
Yeah,
know it's handled.
yeah.
Zach's team's got it.
They
So
do. They do have
grateful
it.
for
They
you
do
guys
have
as
it.
well.
Courtney,
Well,
what's last question for you before I let you go? What is your what are you have you fallen into the making your own bread and making your own milk yet? Because you are like Miss Crunchy and all the things natural. I don't know, outside world. I know you see her as a businesswoman, but I call her like this my almost Mennonite friend. She's probably wearing a long jean skirt right now, but that's okay. We don't need to see.
Jeans.
Have you gotten into jeans? Are you doing sourdough baking yet? Do you do sourdough baking?
Here's the reality. I did sourdough baking before it became
Of
cool.
course you
I was
did.
doing it before it was cool.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Of course you did. Yeah, just saying. See, you're a trendsetter. You're a trendsetter.
I am. Yep. I always have to tell people I did sourdough before it was cool in 2020. So just saying. In 2017, it might have been when I was like starting to dip
that's
my
fair.
toe.
There you go. You can. Okay. There you go. Well, the starter grosses me out. When people are like, oh, my starter, and talk like it's a pet, that's disgusting. All right.
I agree.
That's weird.
Do not make it my personality. I don't think it should be made our personality. It's just, I'm just making bread. Like, it doesn't have to be your personality.
Good.
It's not that deep.
No,
so
it's not
I don't
that
have
deep.
a name. I don't have a name for my starter. It never will have a name. But
yeah, because it's bread. Because it's bread. Yeah,
but
exactly.
that's just me being me, of the even keel, like, well, let's just chill out, folks.
That's a waste of time. Let's move on.
Yes,
I love it.
Yeah.
Courtney, you're the best. Thanks so much
Garrett.
for the time.
Appreciate it. Bye.